filming?
I'm filming.
That's the Suzuki in action.
Yeah.
I put those these whole rear pegs on. Stay there. This is the stock unit. It went right there. Foot peg, passenger foot peg, shifter lever.
Okay.
So these three mounting points, 1, 2, 3, came off. Put this black aluminum unit on. It's got all these different holes here, so you can change the position of the peg.
Okay.
You know, move it higher, lower, up or down, so more comfortable position. You can change the position of this. Just a little heel guard on it. So Rich helped me put them on both sides. Just here's this linkage to the shifter. Just had to make sure that that was traveling smoothly to shift at that point there. I still got to put the passenger pegs on.
Okay, so
which mount here and here. That goes through the frame here, which is why I haven't done it yet. That'll be a little tricky.
Through the frame to the other side?
To the other side, matches up with
base.
the peg on the other base. Let me grab it because it's right over here. Right there. I don't have the peg on here yet, but there'll be a gold peg here. The passenger seat, you just take this, undo it here, take this plastic cowl off, and just sit right on that.
Interesting. So I guess Cassie hadn't ridden this one yet?
She hasn't ridden on this one yet. She's ridden on the Suzuki.
Been out together?
Yeah, we've been out together on the Suzuki. No. She hasn't driven anything. And I put these handle levers on. This black and gold lever I've installed. Mirror I installed. These little bar ends. I installed these little black reservoirs with their clamp brackets and everything.
Reservoirs?
Yeah, the stuff that's for clutch fluid and brake fluid. The stock ones are just these cheap little plastic things.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I replaced them with these nice black aluminum ones. Even the brackets were just these like real thin metal things. That's a standard lever that I took off.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice matches like the shocks.
Yeah, that's sort of like the. If you come onto the other side of the bike, you get an even better view here. But kind of the defining feature of the bike is the gold Olin shocks. This is the Monster 1100, and then the S version. The S version comes with the gold shocks, the Olin shocks, and it's a yellow rear shock also. A couple of carbon fiber. The S, there's not a lot of big differences between the regular and the S. The S just has the Olin shocks, which is like an upgraded brand. There's more dampening, more control over. You can more play to set them how firm and soft you want them, how springy you want them to be. There's more control and more high tech in the shocks, which helps you in bumpy corners or anything. Then the only other differences are very minor. There's this is carbon fiber on the S versus metal or plastic or whatever. This is carbon fiber on the S, and the wheels are gold on the S instead of silver. The wheels, the painted. That's about it. But since they had this kind of gold theme going on, that's what made me go out and get these gold parts to add to it. This is the most interesting one here, the clutch plate, which is really. This is what it looked like before.
Yeah.
You know, just the same engine color, unexposed. Take that guy off. Here's the stock plate that was underneath that cover.
Okay.
Instead of that gold plate. This is kind of what the gold plate looks like.
So that's yet to go on?
No, this, see this one I damaged it. Matt and I were trying to press a bearing into this guy. Because when you took this out, there's this bearing and you had to pull the bearing out of this guy, then you got to press it into this guy.
Alright.
And we took a big vise and tried to press it in. We put this in the freezer, we torched this to heat it up. Tried to put them together, they didn't mate. So we put a whole bunch of pressure on it. And the thing ended up cracking.
Oh yeah.
And we scored this up so bad that I just had to get another one.
Okay.
So this died on the vine.
So so it's just a little different style you got in there?
Just a little different style, yeah. This has more of the turbine. And the reason I switched up styles is because I realized that some manufacturers include the bearing already in place. This manufacturer didn't. You had to freaking jam the thing in there. But this manufacturer was already in there, so it's an absolute piece of cake once I got that one. Now on this, they're hard to see, but these black caps are holding on a screw that looks or a spring that looks exactly like that.
Okay.
That's underneath that black cap. So this is called the clutch pressure plate, and these springs, which are all underneath these 6 black caps, that's what the stock ones look like, and that holds the whole clutch pack in place. I'll turn it on in a minute too, and you can see it spin and come in and out when I pull the clutch lever. But I replaced the springs and the Allen bolts on them with stainless steel, because now it's exposed to the elements. Now they won't rust or anything, versus these stock ones. Here you can see the same foot pegs assembly from the other side on here. This is the rear brake, adjustable peg placement. This is the master cylinder for the rear brake. This was a real pain in the neck to mount this spring, which is under here, this gold-ended spring. So I had to take a woodworking clamp and compress that spring, put the clamp here and here, compress the spring so that you could mount these 2 bolts. In the stock position, it was like way over here. So you had to take it, move it over here, get it to mount into these bolts, compress the spring. This is a new hose. They give you a new hose because you move it so far, you need a different hose. And then this is an aftermarket reservoir that I installed because it was a little plastic one, just like the ones up top. And I put these 2 things weren't carbon fiber on the stock bike, but since part of the theme with the 1100S was carbon fiber, I picked up these aftermarket carbon fiber things to replace the stock black ones. This was metal, but that was just plastic. Even though this was just plastic, the carbon fiber still weighed less than the stock unit. That's how light the carbon fiber is. So I think that this looked out of place with all this other stuff going on. This even looks a little bit on the plasticky side.
Yeah.
So I think that looks like, and I got one coming, should come in the mail soon. This little guard here, and which is similar to this, but in carbon. This is just the oil filler plug. It's a tiny little addition I made, but just keeping the color scheme going. That's the oil filler hole. Let me fire it up while you're down there. I don't know if you need to be in close-up mode, but you'll see the thing spin and everything.